When I first started my weight loss journey, I had no idea how much mindset would actually matter. Now, I'm 30 kilograms down, but more importantly, I have kept this off for years. I did not go back to old habits, but I did notice some things that helped me drop weight initially that didn't help me maintain long term. So in this video, I want to share with you my 3 biggest mentality shifts that not only help me get results, but actually sustain them. These are the same shifts that I wish every woman would know before starting her journey that literally change everything. So shift number 1 was from forcing it to making it part of my routine. Now, at the start of my journey, I had to force myself to go and work out. I had a home gym on my doorstep, so it was so easy for me to just go next door and actually have a workout. However, I had to watch inspirational YouTubes, follow people that would really kind of get me up and get me going just to get enough motivation to even walk in there. So it was not easy, and I really heavily relied on motivation and external forces to really get me up and going into the gym. But I kept showing up, and every single time that I do, and I say this to all of the women that we work with, is every single time that you turn up, you are building that trust with yourself, and that hurdle just becomes lower and lower and lower. Now, when I look into the gym and I know that I need to work out, I just turn up. I don't think about it. It's just they get in the car, part of my routine, like going to work, get to the gym and train. That is now part of my routine. So that was that first shift, making it normal. Not something that I did when I had a bit of extra time, but something I built into my routine so it felt automatic. And it's not about waiting for motivation, it's trying to make it as easy as possible for you to win, reducing all of those barriers to make it so easy to make the right decision for your goal to be able to actually reach it. I then didn't need to wait for motivation because I made it easy for me to go, reducing those barriers, making it very much a part of my routine so it was easy to actually win. So a few things that I did to make it easier for myself to turn up was I set the same time every single week. I turned up after I dropped my son to nursery and I went straight to the gym. I did not go home. I went straight there, got it done and turned up on the way home. I made sure that I had to pass it before I went home. Not only that, but I gave myself the set time every single week. So a couple of things that reduced these barriers for me was setting the time in the day every single week. If you are someone that works on shifts, obviously you could look ahead of the week and kind of map them in, something we do with our clients. But every single week I blocked out the same time. Every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday morning, I would go to the gym straight after I dropped my toddler. Not only that, but I made sure I prepped my clothes the day before. So I wasn't rushing in the morning just to get them to nursery. I would make sure that my clothes were almost laid out, or I would make sure that I just popped on some sort of gym gear so I knew that on the way back, I had no excuse because I wasn't ready to go. So if you're struggling with motivation or consistency to turn up to the gym or maybe do a workout at home, look for ways to lower the barrier for you to actually start. Not only does this stack the wins and build trust with yourself, but it takes far less willpower to actually do it. And if I'm reflecting on my own journey, I actually started with home gym workouts. Then I progressed into a gym that was on the way home. And now I actually go to a gym in the completely opposite direction. It's really nice. But it doesn't feel hard. Now, if I was to jump to that third gym and completely miss out the first 2 steps on the beginning of my journey, there is absolutely no way that I would find the motivation to do so. So don't chase motivation, build structure and try to remove and reduce these barriers that are stopping you or making it harder for you to turn up for yourself. Shift number 2 was from just hitting calories and numbers to actually fueling my body for change. Now, when I first started, I hadn't tracked properly for years. I knew about the apps, but I never actually done it properly. So when I first started, I was relying a lot on just numbers. It didn't really matter what I ate. As long as I hit that target, I knew that I was going to drop fat. But what did that mean overall? My energy was shot to pieces. I was really irritable and tired and hungry. It meant me eating a lot of processed foods and leaning on snacks and bits and bobs because I thought that low calorie was best. I would buy all of the marketed high protein products, even though I was in a calorie deficit. I'd be buying chocolate bars that were 300 calories because it said high protein and getting really confused and frustrated that I wasn't seeing the change that I wanted to in my body. Not to mention, it was not sustainable to feel the way that I did just hitting a number. So that's when I realized it's not just about hitting calories, it's how those calories actually make you feel. This is where the sustainability comes from. And talking about kind of sustaining these results long term, we want to make sure that we are feeling good, we are feeling energized, and we are not feeling like we are battling ourselves every single day just to hit a number. So this is where I started to change those processed foods to more natural whole foods that actually gave me something back. So not only did I go for more higher protein, but I also added a lot more volume. How I started to look at fruits and veggies and actually adding color to my plate to satiate me. Once I started prioritizing whole foods and protein, this is where I could start to look at my plate and understand what it was that gave me energy, what it was that felt easy to be able to hit that number, still drop fat, but also feel good doing it. So I didn't feel that irritability. I didn't feel that low energy crash at 3 p.m. I had steady energy and fewer cravings overall, which made it easier again to hit that target and reach my goal. And this wasn't about cutting out foods. I kept carbohydrates in, but I was able to find which one would actually suit me and keep me nice and satiated, but also not being scared of having extra calories. For me, I was always looking at 500 calories or less, 200 calories or less. I was leaning on, coffees and low calorie snacks. And I was so irritable. I was so hungry and empty. And no wonder I wasn't able to hit that target every day. So it's important to realize it's not about having something that's higher calorie. It's having something that actually serves you and your goal to make it easier for you to actually reach your target. So this might look like actually having something substantial in the morning, actually adding more calories to lunch rather than try to save yourself for the evening where inevitably cravings would hit. And of course they would, because we're trying to scrimp on the day and then finding this backlash effect in the evening. So something you can do is asking after each meal or snack, did this meal serve me? Did this give me energy I needed back? How full did I feel after that meal? Or did it just satisfy a craving for a few minutes? Now, this simple awareness can shift everything. You can't restrict your way to energy, but you can fuel your way to freedom. So if you are tracking your calories, this is a great opportunity for you to understand a little bit more about your food rather than just hitting a target. Shift number 3 is from chasing quick results, falling in love with the long game. Now, after pregnancy, bearing in mind I had gained 4 stone, and it wasn't just the 9 months, it was years of compounded habits that kind of hit me once I'd fallen pregnant. So after pregnancy, I genuinely thought in 6 to 8 weeks, I will have abs. I will shock everyone with this after photo. Like, genuinely, that is what I thought. And obviously every week that I didn't, I felt so disappointed, so upset that I was like beating myself up as to why I didn't have abs for the first time in my life, suddenly after 6 weeks of pregnancy where a lot of belly fat resided. But after I actually grew and I actually zoomed out and looked at the bigger process, I think a lot of this was me trying to cut the process short. I was always looking at 6 weeks or 2 months, 3 months maximum. My journey always stopped after 3 months. Now, this is very true in my first journey. I signed up to a coach and I was sort of 3-4 months in and, I was steadily losing weight, but it wasn't to the speed that I wanted. So I said to him, I was ready to quit and say, right, 3-4 months, that's well enough time. I'm not where I want to be, but, thanks for sort of kickstarting me. And that was my mentality. 3-4 months, I'm just gonna undo not just pregnancy, but years of habits that got me to that point of gaining almost 5 stone. And he actually convinced me to stay for another 3-4 months, in which I think I lost another sort of 5-10 kilograms, which was absolutely massive. And do you know what? I was still not where I wanted to be, but I was a lot closer than when I was originally going to quit. But as I obviously grew, I realized that real results, real change, those physiques that we really dream of having, they take time. Honestly, when we actually zoom out and realize just how long it took us to get to that position, it's gonna take at least half of that to get it back, or any better in my eyes, because I genuinely thought I was gonna have abs for the first time. But once I started to zoom out and not just focus on the scales, the number that was obviously so hit and miss for me, I started realizing that I was fitter. I could lift more. I did a lifting journey. I did a running journey. And I even did my first pull-up. But this did not take weeks. It was more about consistency and really focusing on a program that was more built longer term. But that process was something that I started to enjoy because I started to see it as a longer term goal rather than I need to do a pull-up in 4 weeks. I need to get abs in 6 weeks. I need to lose a stone this month. So it became a process that I actually enjoyed rather than something I was just rushing to get to. And I do get it. We're all so keen to get to that result. But if we do not zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you're always going to end up in these short-term loops that never actually get you closer to that overall goal. So focus on consistency, not urgency. Double the time that you think it will take to get you to your goal and add another 6 months. Because the quicker you get over this short-term sprint, the quicker you're going to get to your results with proper consistency and a really good long-term plan. Now, my first journey, I genuinely thought I'd have abs after 6 weeks. I only committed 3 or 4 months to my first coach. I'm now going into my third journey where I've already mapped out the next 8 to 9 months. Because when you start to fall in love with the process and see the bigger picture, that this is probably the quickest way you could get to your result and the real one that you can keep, you stop needing to rush to the finish line. So these are the 3 mentality shifts that completely changed how I approach my health and fitness and actually maintain habits that allow me to keep them as well. I do not rely on motivation. I do not chase perfection. And now I am not rushing to the finish line, but I do focus on building a structure, nourishing and filling my body, and also adding in other goals that isn't just based on the scales or the enjoyment. If this video resonates, then let me know the mindset shift that you are working on right now. I'd love to cheer you on in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe because I share weekly videos to help you build habits and strong routines that actually last, all from the progress method that we use with our clients to get them the best result.